His name was Park So-woon, and he was officially the worst adventurer in the guild's Silver Blade. Not because he was lazy, not because he was cowardly. It just didn't work out. The class he got at registration was rare and useless. Observer. No damage, no defense. Only one skill, analysis, allowed him to read the characteristics of monsters and items. Nothing more. The system honestly displayed Park So-woon class. Observer level, 12. Strength, 8/agility, 11/endurance, 14/intelligence, 19. Skills, analysis. Level 4, passive perception. Level 3, combat rating, E. 18 months in the team. For 18 months, So-woon carried equipment, cooked food in the camp, marked monster positions on maps while the others fought and endured. He endured a lot. The Silver Blade team had 5 members. Cha Min-jun, the leader. 26 years old, warrior rank B, with the confidence of people to whom everything comes easily and who therefore do not understand those for whom it is hard. Not evil by nature. He simply didn't notice. Lee Hai-eun, mage. 24 years old, fire specialization, rank B, sharp tongue, sharp mind. She used both indiscriminately. She called So-woon our living reference book with that intonation that turns a compliment into an insult. John Gaihun, archer, rank B+. 28 years old, silent, observant. Of the whole team, he bullied him the least. He just sometimes looked with an expression that was worse than mockery, with pity. Oh Seon-young, healer, rank B, 22 years old, kind in appearance. In reality, kind when it was beneficial. She healed So-woon last with the remnants of mana and called it Order of Priorities. And Park So-woon, 23 years old, rank E-class observer. The one they took because an extra person in the dungeon is never harmful, especially if he obediently carries 3 backpacks. The jokes were different. Min-jun sent him forward to check corridors. So-woon, it seems quiet there. Take a look. So-woon went. Sometimes it really was quiet, sometimes not. And then he returned with scratches while the others came out of hiding. Hae-yoon renamed his inventory. Once when So-woon stepped away, she rearranged all his things and attached labels. Loser's towel, bait food, spare shield disposable. The team laughed. So-woon silently removed the labels. Gi-hun once, intentionally or not, So-woon never figured it out, knocked the only weapon out of his hands in the heat of battle. A short knife, rank F. So-woon fought with his hands until the monster was finished. Seon-young deliberately didn't heal him sometimes. She said her mana had run out. So-woon saw the indicator above her head. It showed 60%. He stayed silent. 18 months. Why didn't he leave? So-woon asked himself this question every month, and every time he found an answer. Because leaving means admitting that nothing will work out, that the observer class is truly useless, that he really is a failure, and he didn't believe that. Not yet. The request came at the beginning of November. Dungeon Ruins of Hassan. 4th class of danger, rating A-. Not for their team by standard, but Min-jun had negotiated. The guild was looking for a group that would close the dungeon quickly, without noise, for double pay. We'll manage, Min-jun said at the briefing. We're almost A rank, 1 push. 4th class is serious, Gi-hun said, the only one who objected. We'll manage, Min-jun repeated. End of discussion. So-woon studied the documents on the dungeon. The analysis skill worked with text too, and provided structured information faster than normal reading. Ruins of Hassan class. 4. A. Floors. 7 dominant species. Stone Guardians, Shadow Hunters, Ruins. Guardian Boss. Feature, unstable architecture. Multi-level drops between floors. Average clearing time. A-rank group. 14 to 18 hours multi-level drops. So-woon read it twice. He stayed silent. They entered at dawn. First floor calm. Stone Guardians were slow, predictable. Min-jun chopped, Hae-yoon burned, Gi-hun shot. Seon-young kept the buffs. So-woon analyzed the monsters and reported weak points. Right shoulder, armor joint. No coverage there, he said. Back of the neck. Vulnerability to cutting. The team used the information without words of thanks. So Woon didn't expect thanks. Second floor, third floor, good pace. On the fourth, shadow hunters. Fast, invisible in dark corners. Analysis, So Woon said. And he felt that the skill activated not by his own will, automatically, faster than usual. Shadow Hunter, level 38. Weakness, light sources, sound waves. Attack, Shadow Claws damage 340 to 410. Feature, invisibility in shadow, 3 seconds delay before attack. 3 seconds delay before strike, So Woon said. Sound stops them. Hae-Yun, not fire, light. Hae-Yun hesitated a bit, then switched the spell. Light flash. 3 hunters fell out of the shadow, blinded. They cleared the 4th floor cleanly. During the break, Min-Jun for the first time in 18 months said, "Good work, So Woon." So Woon ate in silence. It's too late to start noticing. The 5th floor began with a large hall. High, 20 meters to the ceiling. In the center, a platform above the abyss. The bridge to it was narrow, stone with chipped edges. So Woon looked down from the edge. Darkness. Complete, bottomless. Multi-level drops. Will the bridge hold? He asked. It will hold, Min-Jun said, without checking. They crossed. The platform was large, stable. On it stood an altar with a map of the next floors. Min-Jun leaned over the map. 6th and 7th are difficult, he said. We need bait for the Guardian. The Guardian reacts to movement. If one person distracts it from one side, the rest approach from the flanks. Who is the bait? Hae-Yun asked. And she looked at So Woon. Pause. Logical, Min-Jun said. So Woon is fast and there's nothing to lose if anything. Nothing to lose. So Woon looked at the map. Okay, he said. Then he felt that something was wrong. Seon-Yong suddenly stepped back, toward the bridge. Gi-hun also stepped back. Ha-Yun looked at So Woon with the expression he had seen on her when she was coming up with another joke. Actually, she said, we need a different kind of bait. Min-Jun nodded, not cheerfully. Seriously, it was worse than a joke. The Guardian of the 6th floor reacts to a living being in the area. We need to lower someone down in advance. Right here, the drop leads to the 6th level, bypassing the stairs. So Woon looked at the drop. This is not bypassing the stairs, he said quietly. This is a fall of unknown depth. You're an observer, Hae-Yun said. Resilient. I'm an E-rank person with an analysis skill. Endurance 14, Min-Jun said. That's above average for E-rank. You'll survive. Pause. There are 5 of us. Let's vote. Who is in favor? Ha-Yun, hand up. Min-Jun, hand up. Seon-Yong slowly, hand up. Gi-hun looked at So Woon. For a long time. Gi-hun, Min-Jun said. Gi-hun lowered his gaze, raised his hand. 4 out of 5. So Woon stood at the edge of the drop. Looked down. He thought quickly, as always when it was important. Nowhere to run. The bridge was behind them. Min-Jun was stronger. Hae-Yun would burn him if he ran. This is not a joke. This is the end. Okay, he said. The last thing he saw was their faces. Min-Jun businesslike, as if solving a work issue. Hae-Yun with something like a smile in the corner of her mouth. Seon-Yong looked away. Gi-hun looked at him, the only one. And in his gaze there was something not regret, something smaller and worse. Relief. So Woon jumped himself. He didn't wait for a push. The darkness accepted him. He fell for a long time. Longer than he should have. The drop didn't just go down. It curved. The walls narrowed and expanded. And So Woon hit the protrusion several times. Not fatally, dampening the speed, which was enough for each next impact to be weaker than the previous one. The system worked even during the fall. Received damage. 47. Received damage. 31. Received damage. 28. Received damage. 19. Endurance holds. The last impact was soft. Ground. Or rather, something soft on top of the ground. Moss or grass. Thick, old, grown where there had never been light. So Woon lay there, breathed. Health: 34/210. Status: multiple bruises. Crack in 2 ribs. Alive. He looked up far, far away where the drop had been. Nothing visible. Complete darkness. Without bottom and without top. He lay there, thought. Not about the team. Not about betrayal. Not about anger. He thought about where he was and what needed to be done. He stood up. Slowly, through the pain in his ribs, he stood up. He activated passive perception, the only thing he had besides analysis. Passive perception, level 3, active detection radius, 12 meters. Living beings detected, 0 space structure, cave, approximately 40 by 60 meters. Exits, 3. A cave. 3 exits, and silence. Complete. The kind of silence that happens very deep underground where there has been nothing living for a very long time. So Woon took a glowing stone out of his inventory. Rank F, weak light, 3 hours of operation. The only light source. He looked around. The cave was huge, walls of black stone, smooth, with that glassy sheen that very old rock formations have. On the floor was that same moss, white and dense. Against the far wall, something. So Woon approached. Bones, many, of different sizes. Some huge, not human. Some smaller. And among them, equipment. Foreign, old, rusted weapons, decayed clothing, several items that the inventory kept untouched. So Woon activated analysis on the nearest item. Fallen Hunter's Ring Rank D. Effect, +3 to agility condition. Usable note. Belonged to a hunter who reached this level and did not leave. Who did not leave? So Woon put on the ring. He took everything he could use. Another knife, rank D, in good condition. Light bracers, rank E+. 1 restoration potion expired, but the system showed 40% effectiveness. He drank the potion. Health, 34/118/210. Status, rib cracks partially healed. Better. He sat down by the wall, looked at the 3 exits. He thought methodically, without panic. I am on an unknown level of the ruins of Hassan Dungeon, possibly below the 7th floor or in a separate zone. The team will not return. They will most likely close the dungeon from outside and say that I died in battle. Officially, I am dead. I have knife D, bracers E+, ring D-, glowing stone F for 3 hours, basic food supplies for 2 days, analysis level 4, passive perception level 3. Exit upward. But climbing up the same drop is impossible, vertically without handholds. That means through the dungeon. Find stairs, find another way. First, understand where I am. He stood up. Walk to the first exit. First exit, a corridor going horizontally. Dark, long. After 20 meters, passive perception triggered. Living beings detected. 1 distance, 8 meters. Direction, straight ahead. Warning. The creature is moving. So, Woon stopped. Put the glowing stone in his pocket. Darkness. He waited. A quiet shuffling sound. Something large was coming slowly, so Woon pressed himself against the wall. Analysis automatically on sound and sensation. Shadow Guardian. Level 51. Class, Elite Health. 2,800/2,800. Attack, 520 to 610. Defense, 380. Weakness, Concentrated Light, Silver. Feature, Blind. Orients by hearing and body heat. Level 51. So Woon, level 12. A difference of 40 levels. Blind, hearing and heat. So Woon didn't breathe. Pressed himself against the cold wall. The stone behind his back was icy, slowly cooling his body. The Shadow Guardian passed by, a meter away. So Woon heard the creature's breathing, heavy, wet. He felt the movement of air. The Guardian left into the darkness. So Woon slowly exhaled. He took out the glowing stone again, looked at his hands. They weren't shaking. Good. He went back. First exit, no. Second exit, stairs. But up or down? He looked down. It went deeper. I am not on the 7th floor. I am below the 7th. The system officially designated ruins of Hassan as a 7-floor dungeon. What was below, no one knew. No one returned to tell. So Woon looked at the bones by the wall, those who did not leave. The third exit led sideways, at an incline. An ascent. Small, but upward. So Woon chose it. The corridor went upward for a long time, an hour maybe. In the darkness, it was hard to count time. So Woon moved slowly, keeping passive perception on. Several times creatures were nearby. He stopped and waited them out. He didn't fight. Not because he was afraid, because he understood. A D-rank knife against level 50+ was not a fight. It was death. To survive now means not to die. It doesn't mean to win. An hour of walking and the corridor ended in a hall. A large hall, high ceiling, and light. Not bright. Dim, bluish, coming from mushrooms on the walls. Huge, with caps the size of a cartwheel. They glowed on their own. So Woon looked around. The hall was inhabited, not for humans. But someone had settled here. Stones stacked into something like walls. In the corner, a campfire site, old, long extinguished. Nearby, items and records. On the wall, letters carved into the stone, Korean. So Woon approached. He read, "My name is Kwon Dae-ho. Hunter, rank A. I fell to the 8th level 8 months ago. To those who are looking, the 8th level is not empty. Here lives what is not on the official maps. Monsters from level 50 to level 80. Boss unknown. I did not find an exit, but I found something else. This level teaches. If you are here, you have 2 paths. Die quickly or learn. There is no third. I chose the second. We'll see what comes of it. Kwon Dae-ho. First month. Further another record. In a different hand. Firmer, smoother. 4th month. Dae-ho died in the 3rd month. My name is So Mi-rae. Mage, rank B+. I found this place by chance. I read his records. He was right. This level teaches. I was already level 34 when I fell. Now level 47. In 4 months. Nowhere above did I grow so fast. But I also did not find an exit. If you are reading this, do not lose hope. Search. I am searching. The last record was very short. Different handwriting. Hurried. I found the way. Level 9. Central drop. 3rd hall on the right. Wall with double reflection. The exit is there. Anonymous. So Woon reread it 3 times. Level 9. Central drop. 3rd hall. Wall with double reflection. There is an exit. But first he needed to survive long enough to find it. So Woon didn't waste time on grief. First day. Reconnaissance. He walked around the accessible part of the 8th level as far as the glowing stone and passive perception allowed. He made a rough map. The hall with mushrooms is safe. In the corridors around, creatures of level 48 to 55 patrolling. 3 halls besides this one, 2 with active monsters, 1 empty. Camp in the mushroom hall. Empty hall as backup. Second day. Food. Supplies for 2 days were running out. Are the mushrooms edible? He activated analysis. Glowing cave. Mushroom. Edibility. Conditionally suitable. Effect. Minor stamina. Recovery. Warning. Consume no more than 3 pieces per day. Overdose. Hallucinations. Conditional. Better than nothing. He ate mushrooms and thought. Third day. First fight. Not because he wanted to. The shadow guardian from the first corridor found him in the hall. It came for the smell of heat, apparently. So-woon saw it from 8 meters away. Passive perception gave him time. He couldn't run. The corridor behind, the creature blocked the exit. He couldn't hide. Body heat would give him away. All that remained was to fight. The guardian is blind. It orients by hearing and heat. Hearing. So-woon took a stone, threw it into the opposite corner loudly, sharply. The guardian turned. went toward the sound. So Woon went around along the wall, as quietly as possible. The cold wall behind his back reduced the heat signature. The guardian passed by. So Woon did not continue. He ran to the exit. Not a victory, survival. The fourth day brought the first discovery. So Woon sat by the wall and thought about analysis. The skill had been used every day for 18 months, but always passively. He activated it, received information, used it. What if differently? Analysis level 4. What could it do at level 4 that it couldn't at level 1? He had never thought about it. The skill grew by itself when used frequently. The level increased. So Woon had not tracked exactly what had changed. He activated it slowly, deliberately on the wall. Black cave stone wall. Durability. 8,400 over 8,400. Composition. Magnesite with an admixture of magic crystals. Feature. Absorbs magical damage by 40%. Conducts vibration up to 30 meters. Vulnerability. Resonant strikes. Point of lowest durability. Marked in analysis. Resonant strikes. Point. So Woon looked at the mark that analysis had drawn directly over real vision. A small red dot on the stone. The place where the wall was thinnest. He took the knife, struck at the point. The stone cracked. A small crack. Not a collapse, just a crack. But from one strike with an E-rank knife into a wall with 8,000 durability. So Woon looked at the crack. Analysis shows vulnerable points. This works on monsters too. The next time the system showed a monster's characteristics, So Woon looked more carefully. Vulnerability was not just a word. Analysis drew a point on the creature's body. Where the armor was thinner, where the joint was, where the nerve or artery was. He had simply never looked at that part of the information. For 18 months he had not looked. Day 5. First kill. Lesser Shadow Scout level 48. Smaller than the Guardians, faster. So Woon waited in the darkness in a narrow corridor, pressed against the wall. The glowing stone was put away. Complete darkness. Passive perception. Creature 3 meters away. Analysis automatically. Lesser Shadow Scout. Level 48. Health. 1,200 over 1,200. Defense, 180. Vulnerability. Base of the skull, area between the third and fourth spinal segments. The points glowed in the darkness. Red. So Woon saw them even without light. The scout passed by. So Woon struck at the base of the skull. Knife D, maximum force. Dealt damage, 340. Critical hit times, 3.2. The creature fell without a sound. So Woon stood over it. Breathed. Received. Experience. 480. Level? 12 to 13. The first level in 8 months in the team from one strike. So Woon looked at the notification for a long time. They used you as bait and a shield. All the time while you could grow, you carried backpacks. Not regret. Just a fact. Now it would be different. Day 10, level 16. Day 20, level 23. Day 30, level 31. The pace was incredible. So Woon understood why So Mireille in the records was surprised at her growth. The 8th level gave experience that didn't exist above. High-level monsters, constant threat, the need to use skills to the limit every day, and analysis was changing. Analysis. Level 4 to level 5. New capabilities. Analysis of status effects. Analysis of attack trajectories. Attack trajectories. So Woon used this immediately. He activated it on the Shadow Guardian and saw red lines in the air, where the strike would go. A fraction of a second before the strike. Not evasion, prediction. Passive perception was also growing. The radius expanded to 20 meters, then to 30. So Woon felt creatures before they approached. He felt the vibration of the ground, changes in the air, even the heat signature in the cold corridors. The fighting style formed by itself. Not attack, precision, not strength, knowledge. Wait for the right moment, strike in the right place, retreat before the counterattack. One strike, one kill. When it didn't work, he ran. Without shame, without heroism. A living hunter who ran away is better than a dead hero. On the 25th day, he found more equipment. In a side hall, behind a group of monsters that took 2 days to bypass, a hunter's body, relatively fresh. Not bones, several months. Good equipment, C rank. Light hunter's breastplate. Rank. C defense plus 85. Effect, reduces footstep noise by 30%. Precise strike, gloves. Rank C plus effect, plus 12% to critical hit damage. So Woon put them on. He felt the difference immediately. Next to the body was a small note in a waterproof container. If you find this, I didn't make it. My name is Park Don-hyun, rank B. Fell 3 months ago. Reached level 57 before meeting the 8th Guardian. Not recommended. Don-hyun, 8th Guardian. So Woon noted it. Remembered it. Day 38. Level 36. Analysis, level 6. Passive perception, level 5. And a new skill appeared. The system sent a notification suddenly, in the middle of battle. New skill. Unlocked. Empty gaze. Level 1. Description. Prolonged observation of opponents has developed the ability to see structure. Empty gaze allows you to see the flow of energy in living beings. Determines points of concentration of life force. So Woon stopped in the middle of the corridor. He looked at the notification. 18 months as an observer. The system had finally acknowledged that he had been observing. He activated empty gaze on the nearest patrolling monster. He saw not just vulnerability points. Glowing lines inside the monster's body. Flows. Not random. Structured like a circulatory system, only not blood. Energy. Life force that moved along certain paths. Gathered in nodes. Dispersed again. And the nodes were obvious. 3, 4, 5 points on each creature. Bright. Pulsing. Analysis showed where to strike to deal damage. Empty gaze showed where to strike so that the creature would stop functioning. The difference was enormous. So Woon struck at the central node of the Shadow Guardian level, 52. Dealt damage, 1,840. Life point strike, times 8.4. Shadow Guardian level, 52, destroyed. Received experience, 1,240. So Woon stood over the fallen creature. 1 strike. A creature 40 levels above him. 1 strike. He looked at the body for a long time. Then he went further. He didn't celebrate. He simply noted that now the possibilities were different. Day 45. Level 41. So Woon found the Guardian by chance. He was walking through the central hall, large with high columns, the kind he had bypassed for the first weeks because he felt something big inside. That day, passive perception detected nothing. The hall was empty. He entered. In the center, an altar, stone, old, with extinguished crystals. So Woon approached and activated analysis. Guardian altar. Function. Summons the Guardian when a living being approaches. Status. Active. When approaching. So Woon was already standing right next to it. The ground under his feet trembled. The ceiling of the hall cracked. A stone slab fell from above. So Woon jumped aside. Something fell from the breach. Huge. 8th Guardian. Level 77. Class Unique Boss. Health 48,000 over 48,000. Attack 2,800 to 3,400. Defense 1,200 feature. Regeneration 500 HP per second. Immunity to physical damage below C rank. Vulnerability. Data. Unavailable. Insufficient analysis level. So Woon looked at the characteristics. Level 77. Immunity to physical damage below C rank. His knife was D rank. Breastplate C, gloves C+. Nothing to attack with. The Guardian rose. Huge, stony, with that special kind of beings that are older than the dungeon itself. Its head slowly turned towards So Woon. So Woon did not move. He activated empty gaze immediately. There were nodes, but weak, barely visible behind the thickness of the stone armor. Analysis. Data unavailable. Passive perception. The Guardian is preparing to attack, raising its hand. So Woon ran. Not to the exit. Sideways, along the wall. The Guardian's strike hit the place where he had just been standing. The column shattered into pieces. So Woon ran along the perimeter of the hall. The Guardian turned slowly. Huge body, slow movements. Slow, strong, immune to my weapon, but slow. He reached the exit, jumped out. The Guardian did not pursue. It stayed in the hall. So Woon stood in the corridor. Breathed. Health. 210 over 210. He hadn't received a single hit, he thought. Vulnerability unavailable. Needs higher analysis level. Immunity to D rank. Needs C rank or higher weapon. Regeneration 500 per second. Needs damage higher than regeneration. I can't now. I will be able to later. He wrote on the wall near his camp. Briefly. Guardian level 77. Physical immunity below C. Regeneration 500 per second. Needed. C plus weapon. Analysis. Level 8 plus. Level 55 plus. Wait. Day 60th. Level 47. Analysis. Level 7. Passive perception. Level 6. Empty gaze. Level 3. So Woon found a weapon. In the eastern wing of the 8th level, a hall he had bypassed for a long time because stone priests lived there, level 60 to 65. Over a month of observation, he had learned their routes, temporary blind zones, patrol frequency. On the 58th day he passed through, without fighting, past 6 priests, in complete darkness, in 90 minutes of careful movement. In the hall, a weapon rack, 3 items. Silence. Dagger. Rank B attack. 280 to 340. Effect. Strikes produce no sound. Plus 25% to damage from stealth. Feature. Created for hunters who prefer shadow. Concentration. Bracelet rank. C plus effect. Plus 4 to intelligence. Skill activation speed plus 15%. Silent step boots. Rank C effect. Footstep sound reduced by 80%. Plus 8 to agility. So Woon put on everything. He looked at his characteristics. Park So Woon. Level 47. Strength 14/agility. 31/endurance. 28/intelligence. 34. Skills. Analysis. Level 7. Passive perception. Level 6. Empty gaze. Level 3. Combat rating. C++. 8 months ago. So Woon looked at the screen, then at the dagger in his hand. Quiet, light, perfect for his style. Observer. The system had given him a useless class. Or a class that seems useless until you end up in a place where you cannot survive by force, only by observation. Day 75th. Level 53. The system sent a second unexpected notification. Class evolution. The observer class has reached evolution conditions. Available. 2 development paths. 1 pathfinder. Focus on reconnaissance and stealth. Bonus to agility. Expansion of perception. 2. Abyss analyst. Focus on analysis and using knowledge as a weapon. Bonus to intelligence. Deepening of analysis and empty gaze skills. Unlocking new skills from the understanding branch. So Woon read for a long time. Pathfinder is clear. Speed, stealth, reconnaissance. Useful. Abyss. Analyst is unfamiliar. Understanding as a weapon. What does that mean? He chose the second. Not because he knew for sure, because the first path is understandable, the second is not. And the incomprehensible in this dungeon turned out to be more valuable than the understandable. Class changed. Abyss Analyst. Bonus. Plus 6 to intelligence. Analysis level 7 to level 8. Automatically. New skills unlocked. Intention. Reading. Level 1 determines the goal of the next action of a creature or person. Vulnerable world. Level 1. All objects within a 5-meter radius display points of minimum durability. So Woon activated intention reading on the nearest monster in the corridor. The word appeared above the creature. Patrol. Simple. Clear. Then he activated vulnerable world. The entire corridor lit up with red dots. Walls, ceiling, monster, even his own boots. Everywhere. Points of least resistance. So Woon looked at it. The whole world is a set of vulnerabilities. You just need to know where to look. Analysis level 9. At the 9th level, the system showed something it hadn't shown before. So, Woon activated it on the Guardian again. He returned to the central hall, stood at the entrance, at a distance. 8th Guardian. Level 77. Vulnerability, right pauldron, lower fastening. Gap 4 millimeters. Strike at an angle of 34 degrees pierces the stone armor. Behind the armor, an energy core. Energy core. Critical point. Damage times 12. Regeneration stops when the core is damaged by 30% plus. So Woon looked at the Guardian from afar. Right pauldron. Lower fastening. Gap 4 millimeters. Angle 34 degrees. 4 millimeters. That was the precision the dagger required. B rank, thin blade, possible. He activated intention reading. Above the Guardian, the word. Waiting. It was simply waiting. Guarding the hall. Not aggressive if you don't approach closely. That means he needed to attack first. One strike at the right pauldron, reach the core, see further. So Woon returned to the camp. He lay down, looked at the ceiling. He thought not about the Guardian, about what would happen after. 8th level, 9th level. The exit is there, Anonymous wrote. Whether to believe or not is another question, but there is a landmark. And then upward. To the Silver Blade. To Minjun, who said nothing to lose. To Haiyun with her smile. To Seon Yang, who didn't look. To Gihun, who lowered his gaze and raised his hand. So Woon was not in a hurry with this thought. 83 days. The anger had not faded, but it had become different. Not hot. Cold. Calm. Like that stone by the wall that cooled the body to the temperature of invisibility for the Shadow Guardians. Controlled. They think I'm dead. Good. Let them think so. Day 85th. Level 56. Analysis, level 9. Empty gaze, level 5. Intention, reading level 3. Passive perception, level 7. Vulnerable world level 2. Combat rating. B. So Woon entered the central hall. The Guardian stood by the altar motionless, stony, with that look of things that have been waiting for a very long time and have grown used to waiting. Intention. Reading. Waiting. So Woon stopped 20 meters away, looked. Empty gaze. Nodes. 5 of them. The main one behind the right pauldron, where analysis had shown the core. It glowed brighter than the others. Vulnerable world. Right pauldron, lower fastening. Red dot 4 millimeters from the edge. The angle drawn as a line in the air. Everything was ready. So Woon moved, quietly, boots without sound. Dagger not drawn. Metal might reflect light. 15 meters. 10. The Guardian did not react. 8 meters. Intention reading changed. Detection. A second. So Woon jumped. Not forward. Sideways and forward. In an arc. Bypassing the frontal reaction zone. The Guardian turned slowly. Raised its hand for a strike. So Woon was already next to it on the right from below. Dagger drawn. The red dot glowed. Angle 34 degrees. The line in the air, clear. Strike. The blade entered exactly into the 4 millimeter gap, thin B rank blade, the angle observed to the degree. Dealt damage, 4,820. Critical strike to the core, times 12. Armor pierced. The Guardian made a sound. For the first time, not a roar. A low hum, like the earth before an earthquake. 8th Guardian. 43,180 over 48,000 HP status. Core damaged by 11%. Regeneration reduced to 200 per second. Not enough. Need more. The Guardian struck. So Woon saw the direction a second earlier. Intention. Reading. Strike from the right, horizontal. He dropped to the floor. The strike passed over his head. He rolled away, stood up. The Guardian was turning. Slow, but now not just waiting. Now angry. Intention. Reading, destruction. Clear. So Woon did not run. He moved around, in a wide circle. The Guardian followed, turning. Empty gaze. The core behind the pauldron. Now he saw it a little better. The armor had shifted slightly from the strike. The gap was larger. He waited. Intention. Reading, strike with both hands, from above. The Guardian raised both hands. This was the moment. When raising its hands, the right pauldron shifted. The gap opened wider. So Woon rushed forward. Under the raised hands, toward the right side. Second strike, in the same place. Dealt damage. 5,340. Critical strike to the core times 12. Core damaged. The Guardian lowered its hands. The strike hit So Woon's back. Received damage. 1,840 health. 210 to minus. No. Health. 470 over 470. So Woon was surprised for a fraction of a second. Then he remembered. Level 56. Endurance grew with every level. Health had changed too. He flew toward the wall. Hit it. Stood up. 8th Guardian. 37,840 over 48,000 HP status. Core damaged by 34%. Regeneration stopped. Regeneration stopped. Now just deal more than 37,000 damage. So Woon looked at the Guardian. The Guardian looked at him. Intention. Reading. Assessing opponent. You're assessing me. Good. While you assess me, I'm also assessing you. Vulnerable world. The entire surface of the Guardian. Red dots. Many now that the armor had shifted from the two strikes. Leg joints. Left side. Base of the neck. Base of the neck. A large dot. Not as bright as the core, but big. What's there? Analysis, quickly. Base of the neck. Cluster of nerve nodes. Strike will cause temporary disablement of motor functions. Duration. 8 to 12 seconds. 8 seconds. In 8 seconds, how many strikes to the core? Counting. Distance 3 meters. Speed with the boots is high. Run, 1 second. Deliver strikes, 6 or 7 times maximum in 7 seconds. 6 strikes at 5,000, 30,000 damage. Plus the 10,000 already dealt. Total 40. Need 37. Enough. So Woon moved, not toward the core, toward the neck. The Guardian reacted, raised its hand. Intention. Reading. Strike from above. So Woon made a faint step to the right. The Guardian struck to the right. So Woon dashed to the left, toward the neck. Jump. High. Endurance gave possibilities that hadn't existed 8 months ago. He reached the level of the neck. Strike to the base. Dealt damage. 2,840. Nerve node. Point Guardian status. Motor functions disabled. 8 seconds. The Guardian froze. So Woon jumped to the right side. The core. Strike. Dealt damage. 5,120. Strike. 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 4,980/5,340/5,080. The Guardian began to move. 3 seconds left. Last strike. Maximum force. Precise hit. Dealt damage. 6,240. Final strike to critical point. 8th Guardian, level 77. Destroyed. Received experience. 24,800. Level 56 to 61 plus 5. Achievement unlocked. Conqueror of the unreachable destroyed. A boss exceeding the hunter's level by 16 plus bonus. All skills plus 1 level. So Woon stood in the middle of the hall. The Guardian was slowly disintegrating, stone fragments settling on the floor, quietly, like autumn leaves. Silence. So Woon sheathed the dagger. He looked at what remained of the Guardian. From the center, an item fell out. So Woon approached. Picked it up. Guardian Core. Fragment. Rank A effect. When embedded in a weapon, adds the armor penetration effect 45%. Destroys magical protection. Note, one of a kind. So Woon held the fragment. Warm, heavy, pulsing faintly. He put it in his inventory. He sat down on the floor right where he stood. Guardian level 77. Alone. Without a team. Without support. Without a healer. 8 months ago, E rank with an analysis skill that no one was interested in. Now, level 61, class Abyss Analyst, combat rating A-. Not because he had become a different person, because he had finally started using what had always been there. Day 86th. After defeating the Guardian, a passage opened in the hall. Downward. To the 9th level, So Woon looked at the passage. The anonymous writer in the records had written that the exit was on the 9th level. Central drop, 3rd hall on the right, wall with double reflection. It sounded simple, but the 9th level was unknown. Neither Daeho nor So Mi-rae nor Don-hyun had mentioned descending there. That meant the anonymous person was either stronger than all of them, or had found another way, or he hadn't returned, and this note was the last thing he left. So Woon took his supplies, checked his equipment. He embedded the core fragment into the dagger's hilt. The system confirmed integration. Silence. Dagger modified. Rank A Xiao. Attack 420 to 510. Effect: strikes are silent. Plus 25% damage from stealth. Armor penetration 45%. Destruction of magical protection. So Woon descended. The 9th level was different. The 8th had been dark, cold, stony, familiar for a dungeon. The 9th was bright. Not like sunlight. Like light coming from the walls themselves. Warm, bluish-white, even. Without shadows. And quiet. Not the silence of the 8th level where silence meant a patrol nearby. A different silence. Calm. Passive perception. Empty. Not a single creature within a 30-meter radius. So Woon walked carefully despite that. The corridor led to a fork. 3 directions. Central drop. That means straight ahead. Straight ahead. A wide corridor, high ceiling, smooth walls. He walked for a long time. Then it opened into a hall. A drop in the center, large, round. Warm light came from it from below. Around the drop, 3 passages. So Woon counted. The 3rd on the right. He entered. A small hall, empty. 4 walls. But one wall was different. So Woon approached. Looked. Wall with double reflection, exactly. The surface was slightly uneven, giving 2 layers of reflection like still water into which a stone had been thrown. His own face was reflected twice, with a slight shift. He activated analysis. Exit wall. Function, portal. Leads to the entrance point of the Ruins of Hassan dungeon. Activation condition. A hunter who has reached level 50 plus can activate it by pressing with the palm. Note: one way. After activation, it closes for 72 hours. Level 50 plus. So Woon was level 61. He raised his hand. He stopped. He held his palm in front of the wall. Did not touch it. He thought, if I exit now, I will appear at the dungeon entrance, officially dead. No one knows I'm here. Whether the Silver Blade closed the dungeon or not is unknown. 86 days have passed. What do I know about them? Min-jun is ambitious. The Silver Blade guild is everything to him. Reputation is more important than anything. Hae-yun is smart. She won't leave loose ends. Documents about my death have probably already been filed. Died in battle. Standard wording. To come out now and accuse them. Word against word. An E-rank failure against 4 B-rank hunters. The guild will stand behind its own. I need something else? He lowered his hand. He sat down by the wall. He took out a clean piece of cloth from his inventory. He had used it as paper when writing on the walls. He wrote, a list, what is needed before exiting. Evidence, records in the dungeon. Daeho, So Mirei, Don Hyun saw them here. They described teams that threw people. Level, to exit as E rank is a weak position. To exit as A rank is another matter. Knowledge about the team. Where they went, what they did after, who they work with. He looked at the list. Level. He had it. A minus. Enough. Evidence. He needed to return to the 8th and take the records from the stone. He could copy them. Knowledge about the team, he didn't have it. He could only get it from outside. That means soon, but not now. He returned to the 8th level. For 3 days, So Woon spent time in the hall with the records. He copied them. Carefully, on skins from killed monsters. The best material, durable. He rewrote word for word, Daeho, So Mirei, Don Hyun. 3 stories, 3 people who had fallen here not by their own will. Daeho rank A, fell 8 months ago, according to his records. Died in the 3rd month. So Mirei rank B+, 4 months of records. The last record broke off mid-sentence. What happened is unknown. Don Hyun rank B, 3 months. Met the Guardian and couldn't. All 3 had fallen. Not a single one who had jumped himself. So Woon copied and thought. How many such stories exist in other dungeons? How many failures and ballast simply disappeared and no one asked extra questions? The guild system protects high-rank hunters. E-rank is expendable material. This is not the cruelty of individual people. This is how the system is built. Silver Blade is a private case. Not the only one. He finished copying. He added from himself at the end, on a separate sheet. My name is Park So-woon. Class Abyss Analyst, former Observer. Level 61, rank A-. I spent 89 days in the ruins of Hassan. I was thrown here by the Silver Blade team, Cha Min-jun, Lee Ha-yoon, Jong Gi-hun, Oh Se-on-yong. By 4 votes against 1, I survived. If you are reading this and you have also fallen, listen. This level teaches. I was an E rank with 1 skill. I killed a level 77 Guardian alone. Exit. 9th level. Central drop, 3rd hall on the right, wall with double reflection. Requires level 50+. Grow. Get out. Park So-woon. Day 89. He left the sheets by the wall, next to the old records. He stood up. He looked at the hall one last time. Camp. Campfire site. Flattened moss where he slept. Traces of 90 days of life. Here, I became myself. He went to the 9th level. The hall with the portal was quiet, bright. So Woon stood in front of the wall with double reflection. He looked at his reflection. Double. 2 faces with a slight shift. One slightly more transparent than the other. Which of them is the one who was thrown into the drop? Which is the one who is coming out? Both. He pressed his palm. Portal activated destination. Entrance point, Ruins of Hassan, 1st level. Warning, Hunter Park. So Woon is listed as deceased in the guild database. It is recommended to contact the registration department to restore status. Listed as deceased. Good. He stepped through. The 1st level of the Ruins of Hassan was empty. The dungeon had long been closed, visible by the absence of active monsters, by the extinguished crystals in the walls. After a dungeon is closed, everything inside dies out. It becomes dead stone until the next cycle. So Woon walked to the exit, to the place where 89 days ago his group had entered at dawn. The door was heavy, stone. On the other side, a bolt. So Woon pushed. The door did not yield. He looked. Analysis. Dungeon door, sealed. Durability. 3,200 over 3,200, point of lowest durability. Central bolt, lower fastening. Vulnerable world. Red dot. Bright. He struck. The bolt cracked. The door opened. So Woon exited. Outside, evening. The sky was dark blue, with the first stars. Cold air, smell of forest, earth, wind. So Woon stood at the dungeon entrance and breathed. 89 days. The sky was enormous. After the stone ceilings of the 8th level, simply enormous. So Woon looked at it for a long time. Then he took out a map from his inventory, an old one he had taken before descending. He found the nearest city, 2 hours on foot. He walked. On the way he thought, first, registration department, restore status, officially alive. Second, information about Silver Blade, where they are, what they did for 89 days, who they work with. Third, a plan. Not now. First, learn the situation. No need to rush. They don't know he is coming. The city was called Incheon, not the one on the coast. Mountain Incheon, a small trading town at a crossroads. With a guild office, with inns, with a market where equipment and information were sold in equal proportions. So Woon entered at night. He found an inn, rented a room, paid from the supply of coins he had taken from the equipment of fallen hunters in the dungeon. The first thing he did was eat. Normal food. Hot, with taste, prepared by a person and not gathered from the cave floor. He ate slowly. He was not in a hurry. Then he lay down. He slept for 12 hours. In the morning, registration department, a small office on the main street, a tired clerk behind the counter, about 40 years old with the look of a man who had seen everything. So Woon placed his hunter token on the counter. The clerk took it. Looked again. Raised his gaze to So Woon. Park So Woon. Yes, you are listed as deceased. The clerk spoke slowly. 61 days ago, an application for death was filed. Guild Silver Blade, Dungeon Ruins of Hassan. I know. I did not die. I see. The clerk looked at him. Rank at registration, E. Pause. The system shows current rank A-. Yes, in 89 days. Yes. The clerk was silent for a second. Then he began typing methodically, without extra questions. Registration department clerks saw strange things every day. It was not their job to be surprised. Status restoration takes 24 hours, he said without looking up from his work. Tomorrow morning you will be an officially living hunter, rank A-. Good. One more thing, the clerk said. He stopped. Looked straight at So Woon. The Guild Silver Blade received compensation for your death. The standard one. 50,000 won for the team. Understood. If you intend to file a claim, you need the investigation department. Different window. So Woon looked at the clerk. Not yet, he said. Not yet. Not yet. The clerk nodded. Without comment. So Woon left. So Woon gathered information about Silver Blade for 2 days. Not through official channels. Through the market, where hunters sat in the tavern after work and spoke louder than necessary. He listened. Analysis on conversations. The skill worked that way too, providing structure to the information, separating the important from the noise. By the evening of the second day, the picture was clear. After the ruins of Hassan, Silver Blade rose sharply. Minjun closed a 4th-class dungeon. Reputation grew. The guild offered them a permanent contract. Heian raised her rank to A-, Gihun to B+, Seonyong to B+. Now they work in pair with the large guild Iron Peak. Based in Seoul, a major hunter city 3 days' journey away. Next request in 10 days. 5th-class dungeon. So Woon wrote everything down. Then he found something else. By chance, one of the hunters in the tavern mentioned in passing. Heard about Silverblade? They say their E-rank ballast died in Hassan. Minjun cried at the ceremony. They say he cried beautifully. Laughter at the table. Come on, E-ranks don't go there. This one did. They say he volunteered for bait himself, heroically. More laughter. So Woon sat in the corner, heard every word, volunteered himself, heroically. A beautiful story. He stood up, went out. Outside, cold air. So Woon stood and looked at the stars. There was anger, cold, controlled, but something else. Not just anger at Min Jun and his team, anger at the story, at the fact that Betrayal had been turned into a beautiful fairy tale, that an E-rank ballast died heroically and everyone nodded, because it was more convenient that way, because an E-rank shouldn't survive, because the system had decided that he was expendable material long before Min-jun raised his hand. So Woon thought, I don't just need to show that I'm alive. I need to show how this works. Not revenge on one team. That's too little. I need the next E-rank ballast not to be thrown into the drop. He stood for a long time. Then, he returned to his room. He sat down, took out a clean sheet. He began to write. Overnight, So Woon prepared 3 documents. First, a personal statement. Detailed, chronological. 18 months in Silver Blade. All incidents he remembered with dates. The finale. The vote on the 5th floor of the ruins of Hassan. 4 votes in favor. Second, copies of the records from the dungeon. Dae-ho, So Mi-rae, Don-hyun. 3 people who were also thrown. 3 different teams judging by the fact that the records were from different times. Third, analysis. Not personal, systemic. So Woon used analysis on the statistics he had seen in the registration department. Mortality of E-rank hunters in dungeons above 3rd class is 8 times higher than that of B-rank hunters with comparable number of descents. Not because they are physically weaker, because of function. Bait. Shield. First into a dangerous corridor. The system created the role. The role required sacrifices. The sacrifices were called losses during mission execution. No one asked questions. So Woon wrote all this evenly, without extra words. Facts, numbers, names. In the morning, he took them to the registration department. The clerk accepted them. Said the investigation department would review within 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I need it faster, So Woon said. Standard term. The next request of Silver Blade is in 10 days, So Woon said. If there is no investigation by then, they will enter the next dungeon with a new E-rank in the team. The clerk looked at him. I will submit a request for expedited review, he said slowly. I don't promise. Thank you. So Woon left. 3 days to Seoul. 3 days of travel. So Woon walked on foot not because he couldn't afford a horse, because he thought better while walking. First day. Planning. What he knew about each of the 4. Min-jun. Ambition and reputation. Hae-yoon. Intellect and pride. Gi-hun. Silence and something resembling conscience. Seon-young. Caution and following the majority. Gi-hun was the weakest link in their story, the only one who had looked, who had hesitated before raising his hand. Relief in his eyes meant there was a conscience. That meant all this time after he had been living with it. 89 days is a lot for a person with a conscience. Second day, he thought about Iron Peak. A large guild. Contract with Silver Blade. Business relations. If there is a scandal, Iron Peak will cut off Silver Blade immediately. Reputation is more expensive. That means Min-jun will do everything so that the story does not become public. That means pressure, offer of money, maybe threats. So Woon thought about how to respond to each of the 3. Money is not needed. Threats? Interesting what he can threaten an A- hunter who killed a level 77 guardian. Pressure through the guild, through people around. This is more complicated. Third day, So Woon thought about what he really wanted. Not to destroy Silver Blade. Not to punish each one personally. I want this not to happen again. Min-jun and his team are the consequence. The cause is the system where an E-rank costs less than equipment and where no one asks questions when he doesn't return. Changing this is a big task. One person will not change the system, but one person can become a precedent, a case that everyone saw. That cannot be hushed up. An E-rank observer fell into a 4th-class dungeon, spent 89 days there, killed a level 77 boss, came out with A rank. This will not disappear quietly. This will speak for itself. By the evening of the 3rd day, lights of Seoul appeared on the horizon. So Woon stopped on the hill. Looked. A big city, a lot of light, a lot of people. Somewhere there. Silver Blade. I'm coming, he said out loud. To no one in particular, just out loud. So he could hear it. He went down? The soul of hunters is not the soul that ordinary people know, a parallel city inside the city. Its own streets, its own taverns, its own markets where they trade not food, but information and ranks. Guild towers in every district, from small one-room offices to multi-story buildings of large associations. Iron Peak is one of the big ones. A 12-story building in the central district, with a logo on the facade, with security at the entrance. Silverblade was based on the 6th floor of Iron Peak. Not their own office, rented space. A small team under the wing of a large guild. So Woon learned this on the very first day. Information in Hunter Soul traveled quickly if you knew where to listen. He rented a room. Inexpensive, in a quiet district. The first 2 days he observed. He did not hide. He simply did not hurry. He walked around the city. Looked. Listened. Passive perception and intention. Reading. The skills worked on people the same as on monsters. Worse, less accurately, but they worked. On the second day, he saw Gi-hun, by chance. He was walking down the street alone, with that absent gaze of a person who walks and does not see where. So Woon stopped 5 meters away. He activated intention reading. Above Gi-hun. Not a word. An image. The skill at a high level gave not just the goal of action but the general state. Heaviness, directed inward. He is still thinking about it. So Woon did not call out. He let him pass. Then he followed for a short time. Just saw where he went. A tavern on the corner. Sat alone. Ordered something. Looked at the table. Not now. So Woon left. Third day. So Woon walked through the equipment market. Not for shopping. He looked at what was available, assessed the gap between what was in the dungeon and what was available above, and he saw Hyun. She stood at a stand with magic crystals. Talking to the seller businesslike, with that confidence So Woon remembered. Rank A now, new equipment. Holding herself well, So Woon stopped. He looked. Intention. Reading. Purchase. Business mood. Satisfied with himself. Satisfied with himself. Hyun felt the gaze, turned. Looked in So Woon's direction. Their eyes met. A second. Hyun looked at him. Face showed nothing. Then something. Not recognition immediately. First, incomprehension. Then recognition. Her face changed color, slowly, as if the blood was draining downward. So Woon did not move. Stood, looked. Hyun took a step back, then another. Turned quickly, too quickly for a person who was fine, and walked away, almost running. So Woon did not pursue. He simply watched her go. In an hour, Min-jun would know. Good. Let him know. He had to wait less than an hour. So Woon sat in a tavern near the market. 8 was in no hurry. Passive perception worked in the background, tracking the space around. After 40 minutes, 2 entered. Guards of Iron Peak. So Woon recognized the logo on their jackets. Park. So Woon, one said. Not a question. Yes. Cha Min-jun wants to talk. So Woon finished his tea, stood up. Lead the way. The office of Silverblade on the 6th floor was small, neat. With a view of the city, with good furniture, Min-jun had spent money on the interior. So Woon entered. Min-jun stood by the window with his back turned. He heard them enter but did not turn immediately. Theater. So Woon sat down on a chair by the table. Did not wait for an invitation, just sat. Min-jun turned. He looked at So Woon for a long time. Face controlled. Well controlled. But intention reading saw through the control. Anxiety. Threat assessment. You're alive, Min-jun said. Yes. How? I survived, So Woon said. Then I grew. Then I got out. Pause. How much time has passed, Min-jun said. 80-something days. This. He stopped. This is 89 days on the 8th level of a 4th-class dungeon, So Woon said evenly. Officially, I died. Your team received compensation. Min Jun was silent. "Sit down," So Woon said. Min Jun looked at him. Something about sitting when the person he had considered dead was speaking did not please him, but he sat. "What do you want?" Min Jun asked. Directly. This So Woon remembered. Min Jun did not beat around the bush when he understood the conversation was business. "To tell you something," So Woon said. "Then you decide what to do." "To tell. I submitted documents to the investigation department 3 days ago in the city of Incheon. Pause. Personal statement. Copies of witness records from the dungeon. Statistical analysis of E-rank hunter mortality." Min Jun did not change outwardly. Only his fingers on the table clenched slightly. Witness records. 3 hunters who were thrown into the same dungeon before me. Their records remained on the 8th level. I copied them. So Woon looked at him. Different teams, different years, same result. This does not prove... It proves a pattern, So Woon said. Not only your team, the system. The investigation will not only be about Silverblade. Pause. But it will start with Silverblade. Silence. Min Jun looked at him. "What do you want?" he repeated. Quieter. "I already said. To tell you what will happen." So Woon stood up. "You are a smart man, Min Jun. You yourself will decide how to act." Pause. "But I advise you not to waste effort trying to stop this. It has already been launched." He walked to the door. "So Woon," Min Jun said to his back. He stopped, turned. Min Jun looked at him, and for the first time during the entire conversation, there was no control in his face. Something real. "I thought you had died," he said. "I really thought so." "I know," So Woon said. "This is not an excuse." "No. But it's the truth." So Woon looked at him. "You thought I died because you threw me where I was supposed to die," So Woon said. "This does not change one thing with the other." He left. Evening of the same day. So Woon found Gi-hun in the same tavern where he had seen him before. He was sitting alone, at the same table with the same absent gaze. So Woon approached, sat opposite. Gi-hun raised his gaze. Saw. He turned pale. Not like Haiyun, quickly and fearfully. Slowly. Like a person who had been waiting for this and still was not ready. "Alive?" Gi-hun said. Quietly. "Yes." Silence. Gi-hun looked at the table, for a long time. He began. Stopped. "No need," So Woon said. "It is needed." Gi-hun raised his gaze. I raised my hand. I knew what I was doing. Pause. "I am a coward." "Yes," So Woon said. Gi-hun accepted it, did not flinch, nodded. "Why did you come to me?" he asked. "Because you are the only one who hesitated," So Woon said. "Not because it makes you better than the others. Just because you have something they don't." "What?" "The ability to see what you did." Pause. Min Jun does not see. Haiyun does not want to see. Seon-young has convinced herself that it was right. Gi-hun was silent. "I submitted for investigation," So Woon said. "The department will request testimony from each team member." "I know. Min Jun already told me." "Then you understand what will happen." "I understand." So Woon looked at him. "I am not asking you to do anything specific," he said. "Just tell the truth when they ask." Pause. "That's all." Gi-hun was silent for a long time. "You are angry with me," he said finally. So Woon thought. "I am angry," he said honestly. "But less than with the others." Pause. "And anger is not the main thing. What is the main thing?" "So that the next E rank is not thrown," So Woon said. "That's all?" Gi-hun looked at him. "You could have come out and just lived," he said quietly. "After something like that? Just lived." "I could," So Woon agreed. "Why not?" So Woon thought. "Because in the dungeon I found the records of 3 people who fell there before me," he said. "Daeho, rank A. So Mirei, rank B+. Don Hyun, rank B. Pause. Their survival or death depended not on strength. On whether others decided they were expendable material. Gi-hun looked. "I don't want this to continue," So Woon said simply. "That's all." He stood up. So Woon, Gi-hun said. He turned. I will give testimony. Quietly, firmly, everything as it was. So Woon nodded. He left, the next morning. So Woon had not planned a meeting with Seon-young. She found him herself. She was waiting at the exit from his inn. Alone, in ordinary clothes, not in combat gear. So Woon came out, saw her, stopped. Let's talk, Seon-young said. Okay. They sat on a bench by the wall, a quiet place, no one walked by. Seon-young looked straight. This So Woon remembered. In the team, she always looked away when something happened to him. Now straight. Min-jun told us yesterday evening, she began, about the investigation. Pause. Hae-yun said she would deny it. Min-jun said he would find a way to stop it. Another pause. I came to tell you something separately. Speak. That day on the 5th floor, Seon-young said, when we voted. I raised my hand third. After Min-jun and Hae-yun. Pause. Before that, I thought it was just bait. That you would distract and run away. Her voice changed slightly. When you fell, I understood that it was not so, and stayed silent. Stayed silent. 89 days. Yes. So Woon looked at her. Why now? Because Gi-hun said yesterday evening that he would give testimony, Seon-young said, and I understood. Either I speak now or anyway later. Pause. Better now. What do you want from this conversation? So Woon asked. Seon-young was silent for a moment. I don't know, she said honestly. Maybe to hear what you will say. Pause. You are angry. Yes, strongly, enough. And still you didn't come shouting. You didn't threaten. Seon-young looked at him. You are different. 89 days in the dungeon change you? So Woon said. In what direction? So Woon thought. In the direction where what will be is important, not what was, he said finally. The past cannot be changed. What is ahead can be. Seon-young nodded slowly. I will give testimony, she said. Full. As it was. Good. She stood up, walked away. She stopped after a few steps, turned. So Woon, her voice different, quiet, not businesslike. I am glad you are alive. So Woon looked at her. Me too, he said. She left. The investigation department of the Seoul Guild Council summoned all 5 3 days later. The meeting was closed. A large table, 5 investigators, a stenographer in the corner. So Woon entered first. Told everything from beginning to end. 18 months. Every incident. The finale on the 5th floor. 89 days. The investigators listened in silence. Then they asked questions. Precise, professional. So Woon answered shortly, to the point. He presented the documents, copies of the records, analysis of statistics. The meeting took 3 hours. Min-jun and Hae-yun gave testimony in the second half of the day. So Woon was not present. He had no right. But Gi-hun later told him briefly. Min-jun held on. He said it was an accident, that no one wanted death, that everything was voluntary. Hae-yun denied it, confidently, with details. Good memory, good version of events. Gi-hun told the truth, word for word as it was. The vote, 4 hands, he himself last. Seon-young the same. Full testimony, 2 against 2, a tie if looking only at words. But the documents, records of Daeho, So Mi-rae, Don-hyun, 3 different hunters, 3 different times, 1 place. A pattern. And So Woon's characteristics. E rank at entry, A rank at exit. Level 12 at entry, level 61 at exit. In 89 days. This could not be explained by accident or misunderstanding. The decision was issued in a week. So Woon learned from an official letter. He read it in his room. Morning. Quiet. With a view of the roofs. Decision of the Guild Council Investigation Department. In the case of Hunter Park So Woon against the Silverblade team. Established. Intentional creation of a life-threatening situation for a team member. False registration of death documents. Receipt of compensation based on false data. Cha Min-jun. Cancellation of hunter license for 3 years. Return of compensation. Ban on leading groups. Lee Hae-yoon. Cancellation of license for 2 years. Return of compensation. John Gi-hun. Warning. Probation period 1 year. Mitigation granted due to voluntary testimony. Oh Seon-young. Warning. Probation period 6 months. Similar mitigation. Additionally, the Guild Council initiates a review of protocols for the distribution of roles of E-rank hunters in dungeons of Class 3+. Mortality statistics will be included in quarterly open access reports. So, Woon finished reading, folded the letter, placed it on the table. He looked out the window. Roofs of Seoul. Gray sky with clouds. Ordinary winter sky. 3 years for Minjun. Enough? No. Fair? Also no. Justice is never exact when it comes to life, but the review of protocols, statistics, and open access. This is more important. The next E rank who enters a B rank team will be protected at least by paper, at least by protocol. This is not a guarantee, but it is something. A beginning. 2 days after the decision, So Woon was called to Iron Peak. Not Min Jun, the guild director. Lee Jong-so, 50 years old, one of the largest operators in Hunter Seoul. Office on the 12th floor. View of the entire city. Lee Jong-so was short, with sharp eyes, with that look of people who know how to count ahead. Park So-woon, he said. Abyss analyst, level 61, rank A-. Pause. 89 days on the 8th level of the ruins of Hassan. Yes. Boss, level 77. Alone. Yes. Lee Jong-so looked at him. Observer class, he said. Originally, Abyss analyst now. Evolution from observer. Pause. I have worked with hunters for 20 years. First time I see such a class. First time someone spent enough time in the abyss for it to form, So Woon said. Maybe. Lee Jong-so took a document from the table. I want to offer you a contract. Iron Peak, full-time employment. I'm listening. Standard A-rank package. Plus your class is interesting for our analytical tasks. Dungeon reconnaissance, threat assessment, strategic planning. Pause. Not a frontline fighter. The head of operations. So Woon thought. One condition, he said. I'm listening. In my team there will be no E-ranks in the role of bait, So Woon said. Never. Neither explicitly nor under another name. Lee Jong-so looked at him. This goes without saying after the council's decision. Not without saying, So Woon said. The council's decision is paper. I need this to be a condition of my contract, written exactly like that. Long silence. Lee Jong-so nodded. We will add it to the contract. So Woon took the offered pen. He signed. The first assignment with Iron Peak was 3 weeks later. A 5th class dungeon north of Seoul. Team of 8 people. 2 A ranks, 4 B, 2 C, and 1 E rank. Kim Yoo-jun, 19 years old, class cartographer. He came to the briefing quiet, with the look of a person who is used to being unnoticed. So Woon noticed. After the briefing he approached. Yoo-jun was surprised, not used to A ranks approaching him first. Cartographer class, So Woon said. Yes, Yoo-jun said cautiously. Can you make maps in real time? Update as you move? Yes, a bit more confidently. That is the main function. Update every 20 seconds, radius 30 meters. Good, So Woon said. In this dungeon there are multiple forks and false passages. Your skill is critically important. Pause. You walk in the center of the group covered from both sides. Output the map to the common channel constantly. Yoo-jun looked at him. I am not ballast, he said, as if checking if he could say that. No, So Woon said. You are navigation. Without you, the group is blind in an unfamiliar dungeon. Long pause. Yoo-jun nodded. His shoulders straightened a little. Understood. Any questions? No. Then we prepare. So Woon went to the others. On the way, he activated analysis on the dungeon map. Red dots of false passages appeared immediately. Empty gaze. Structure of threats. Energy flows of bosses on the lower floors. Intention. Reading on the team. 8 people. Focused, ready, with that correct tension before the job. Everything readable, everything clear. So Woon stopped at the entrance, looked into the darkness of the dungeon. Darkness. Cold. Smell of stone and something living deep below. Familiar. Others fear darkness because they do not know what is in it. He knew. He had been there. 90 days there. We enter, So Woon said. They entered. The dungeon was called Asura Tower. 9 floors. Rating A. Feature. According to documents, changing geometry. Passages shifted every 6 hours. What was a corridor became a dead end. What was a wall opened? Hence the false passages. Hence the high mortality, even for experienced teams. So Woon had read the documents 3 times before entering. Then he activated analysis on the architectural drawings. The skill worked on diagrams the same as on objects. Asura Tower. Structural analysis. Geometry. Cyclic. Shift cycle. 5 hours 40 minutes. Current cycle phase. Unknown without internal observation. Stable zones. Central stairwells do not shift. Unstable zones. Side corridors, rooms. Dead ends shift completely. Recommendation: move through the center. Side zones only when necessary. We stick to the central passage, So Woon said to the team at the entrance. Yoo-jun. Map constantly on air. If the map shows a shift, we stop, wait for stabilization. How long to wait during a shift? Asked one of the B ranks. Large, with an axe, Kwak Taeseon. An experienced hunter with that practical look of people who have been going into dungeons for a long time and value specifics. 7 minutes according to calculations, So Woon said. The geometry is not instantaneous. It flows. 7 minutes from the start of the shift to stabilization. How do you know? The dungeon's architecture is magnesite with crystalline inclusions, So Woon said. Such rock shifts at a speed determined by its density, I calculated. Taeseon looked at him for a second. Nodded. Good. They entered. First floor. Monsters level 42 to 48. So Woon did not strike first even once. He walked in the center of the column not because he was afraid, because his job was different. Analysis on every monster in sight. Empty gaze. Nodes. Intention reading. Next action. He spoke aloud shortly, clearly. Left 1 attacks Taeseon, strike from the right in 3 seconds. Taeseon shield to the left. 2 at the wall. Vulnerability in the lower joints, cutting damage. Yoo-jun shift in the northern corridor begins. I see on the map. We stop. 7 minutes. The team listened. At first with that slight skepticism of experienced hunters who do not immediately trust a new voice. By the end of the first floor, without skepticism, because every warning was accurate. Every strike So Woon predicted came exactly where and when he said. On the second floor, one of the C ranks, a young archer named Seo Chang-il, asked during a pause, "Do you see a head or something?" "I see intention," So Woon said. "Not the future." Intention. Pause. It is faster than reaction, slower than prediction. About a second or 2 advantage. That is enough. Usually, yes. Chang-il nodded. Turned to the next monster with that new attention of a person who understood how the mechanism worked. Third floor. A shift caught them inside. Warning 30 seconds in advance, passive perception caught the vibration of the walls. So Woon ordered to the center, quickly. They made it. Side walls flowed slowly, silently, like stage scenery. Rooms closed. New passages opened. The floor's geometry changed. The team stood in the central stairwell. Looked. 7 minutes, So Woon said. Yoo-jun, update the map as it stabilizes. Already, Yoo-jun said. The map on the common channel changed in real time. New walls, new passages, exact geometry of the floor after the shift. Taeseon looked at the map. Without him, we would have gone that way, he said quietly. He pointed where the dead end had closed, and would have been stuck there during the shift. Yes, So Woon said. Cartographers are an underestimated class. Most classes are underestimated, So Woon said, because they are evaluated by damage. Tae-seon looked at him. You were E rank too. Observer. Yes, heard the story. Pause. Impressive. The dungeon is impressive, So-woon said. I just listened. Middle of the dungeon, 5th floor. Here the geometry was stable. It did not shift, but instead there was darkness. Complete, without light sources. Even the magic crystals in the walls had gone out. The team stopped at the edge of the darkness. Our lanterns work, said one of the A-ranks Imhira, a woman about 35, swordswoman. Calm, observant. So-woon had noted on the first day, a high-quality professional. They work, So-woon said, but light reveals position. Without light, we don't see the monsters. I see. Pause. Passive perception, So-woon explained. Radius 30 meters. An empty gaze sees energy nodes without optics. Pause. I will go first. You in a chain, hand on shoulder. Without light. This is risky, Hira said. Riskier with light, So-woon said. Blind hunters live here. I saw in the documents. They react to light as a threat. In darkness, they are passive. Blind hunters, level 65 to 70. Fast. If they attack in a group, bad. Pause. If not provoked by light, we will pass. Hira looked at him, then nodded. Lead. So-woon stood in front. Yoo-jun, map by vibration, without visual. Can you? I can, Yoo-jun said. Cartographic skill works without sight. I feel the geometry. Good. They turned off the lanterns. Complete darkness. The kind So-woon knew. Not scary. Familiar. They went. 20 minutes in darkness. So-woon led, spoke quietly, shortly. Left. Stop. 3 on the right. Wait. Slower. Step down. Passive perception. 8. Blind hunters on the floor. Large, slow in passive mode. Instant aggression upon light flash according to documents. They bypassed all 8. Not a single fight. They came out on the 6th floor. There was light again. The team stopped. Someone exhaled loudly. Yoo-jun stood and looked at So-woon. You saw them, he said. In the darkness. I felt them. All 8 positions. You spoke exactly. Yes. Silence. How does this work? Changil asked. Explain simply. So-woon thought how to explain simply. You know someone is nearby even when you don't see them, he said. You feel heat. You hear breathing. You feel movement of air. Pause. I feel it stronger. More precisely. Another pause. And I can understand what they are going to do by how this feeling changes. It is a skill. It is a skill that has become part of me, So-woon corrected. After enough time, you stop noticing that you are using it. Tae-seon listened in silence. Then he said, 90 days alone in the darkness. Not a question, just aloud. 89. It changes how you look at the world. Yes, So-woon agreed. They moved on. 7th floor. Rest stop. Safe zone. The dungeon system marked it as neutral. Monsters did not enter there. The team rested. 8. Spoke in low voices. So-woon sat separately not because he wanted solitude, just habit. 89 days had formed the habit of thinking in silence. Yoo-jun approached. Sat down next to him. May I? Yes. They were silent for a bit. Before this assignment, Yoo-jun began. I went into dungeons for 8 months. Pause. 3 teams. In each, the same thing. Cartographer is needed for the map, then stand in the corner and don't interfere. I know that feeling, So-woon said. You know, Yoo-jun agreed, but you became different. I don't know how. Pause. I won't fall into a dungeon. That is unlikely. Unlikely. Then how? So-woon thought. You don't need to fall, he said. You need to decide that your class is not a limitation. Pause. A cartographer sees geometry without sight. Feels space. That means you can orient yourself where others are blind. Another pause. This is not support. This is a different way to see the battle. No one has explained it to me like that. Because E ranks are explained as expendable material and not as a resource, So-woon said, evenly. It changes slowly, but it changes. Yoo-jun looked at him. That is why you filed the investigation, he said. Not only because of your team. Yes, because of all of us. Because of the system that creates such teams, So-woon corrected. People are the consequence. The system is the cause. Yoo-jun nodded slowly. Thought. So-woon, he said, are you looking for a permanent team? Not yet. When you are, tell me. Pause. I want to work with you. So-woon looked at him. Young, 19 years old, E rank with an unrevealed class. Shoulders no longer slumped as at the beginning. They had straightened in one day in the right role. I will tell you, So-woon promised. 9th floor, final. Boss, Asura Guardian. According to documents level 80, S rank. The team stopped at the entrance to the hall. Tae-seon looked at the closed doors. Level 80, he said. Our best is Hira, level 71. A gap of 9 levels, said the second A rank, Park Do-yeon, a quiet man about 40. He had not spoken much before. Worked cleanly, without extra words. Difficult. Analysis, So-woon said. He activated it through the door on the presence behind it. Analysis at a high level worked through obstacles if he knew what to look for. Asura Guardian. Level 80. Class Tower Boss. Health 62,000 over 62,000. Attack 3,200 to 3,800. Physical plus 1,400 to 1,800 fire. Defense 1,400 regeneration, 400 HP per second. Features 4 arms. Attacks simultaneously in 2 directions. Fire aura. Passive damage 80 per second in a 5-meter radius. Phases 3. Phase 2 activates at 60% HP. Phase 3 at 30%. Vulnerability. Central joint of the left lower arm. Gap when swinging the right upper arm. So-woon read carefully. 4 arms. 2 phases of behavior change. Fire aura. Cannot stand close for long. Vulnerability only during a specific movement. Listen, he said to the team. I say it once. Everyone turned. Aura 5 meters. No one stands closer than 5 meters for longer than 2 seconds except me. I go right up to it. I have no fire vulnerability in my equipment. He took out the dagger. Modified. Armor penetration 45%. The vulnerability opens when the boss swings the right upper arm. The swing takes about 1.5 seconds. At that moment, I strike the central joint of the left lower arm. The rest keep its attention. How do we keep the attention of a creature with 4 arms? Hira asked. The 2 pairs of arms are independent, So-woon said. Upper arms attack the nearest target. Lower arms attack targets on the flanks. Pause. Tae-seon and Do-yeon, front. Hira, left flank. Changyil, right, long range. The rest, support, healing, buffs. Yoo-jun in the rear, map active, monitors the hall's geometry. We haven't seen the hall yet, Do-yeon said. We will see it in 30 seconds. Yoo-jun will adapt the map immediately. Yoo-jun nodded, focused, without fear. Phases 2 and 3, So-woon continued. At 60% attack speed will increase. At 30, the fire aura will expand to 10 meters. I will announce when a phase is approaching. Watch for my signal. Signal, Tae-seon asked. Phase. Just phase. When you hear it, retreat 2 steps immediately. No questions. Understood? Questions. Silence. We open, So-woon said. The hall was huge, round, with a high domed ceiling. In the center, the Asura Guardian. Huge, with 4 arms, surrounded by an orange haze of aura. 4 eyes, 2 on each side of the head. It felt the people, turned. So-woon activated everything at once. Intention reading. Destruction. Priority. Nearest target. Nearest target. So-woon. Empty gaze. Nodes. Main one behind the left lower arm. Dull now. Closed. Vulnerable world. The hall. Structure. Points. Columns by the walls. Strong. Floor even, no traps. We begin, So-woon said. The team took positions cleanly, without fuss. Taeseon and Do-yeon forward. Hye-ra to the left. Chang-il to the right far corner, bow raised. The Asura Guardian attacked first. Upper arms down toward Taeseon. Lower arms turning to the flanks. Intention. Reading on Taeseon block. Taeseon holds the block, So-woon said. Do-yeon strike to the left side, now. Do-yeon struck. Good, clean. The boss's armor took the damage. So-woon moved around the edge of the aura. 5 meters. Hot, but bearable. He waited. Intention. Reading changed every second. So-woon spoke shortly, and the team listened now without doubt. It had been tested. 3 minutes of battle. Asura's health 74%. Then, intention reading showed. Swing of the right upper arm. Now, So-woon said to himself, not to the team. He rushed forward. Through the aura, immediate burning. Left lower arm, joint. It opened for 1.5 seconds, as analysis had said. Empty gaze. The node flared. Bright. Strike. Precise. The dagger entered the joint. Armor penetration worked. Dealt damage. 5,840. Critical. Armor penetration. Strike to node. He jumped out of the aura. 2 steps back. Received damage. 320 fire aura. 4 seconds contact bearable. The Asura made a sound. The upper swing was interrupted. Reflexive reaction to the strike on the joint. All 4 arms moved toward the center of the body for a second. Everyone strike, So-woon said. Half a second. The team struck simultaneously. Well coordinated. Asura Guardian 67%. HP 6 minutes to 60%. Phase, So-woon said. Everyone retreated 2 steps immediately. The Asura changed. Movements faster. Attacks more frequent. Eyes glowed brighter. We reposition, So-woon said. Taeseon to the right. Hye-ra closer to the center. Chang-il higher, second tier if there is one. There is, Yoo-jun said. Map shows ledges along the walls. Chang-il there. They repositioned while moving. Without stopping, without losses. The battle continued faster, harder. Intention. Reading worked at its limit. Fast attacks gave less advantage than before. 1 second instead of 2. It was enough. So-woon struck the joint 3 times in the next 5 minutes. Every time intention reading gave swing of the right upper arm. Every time precisely, 32%. Phase, So-woon said. They retreated. The aura expanded to 10 meters. The hall became smaller. Asura in the center. Fire around. Nowhere to stand closer than 10 meters. Problem, Do-yeon said. Calmly. Statement. Not a problem, So-woon said. Not with me. He looked at his equipment. Breastplate C, gloves, C+. They did not neutralize fire damage, but empty gaze on his own body. He had seen life force nodes long ago, from the first day the skill opened. He had never used it on himself intentionally. He activated it fully, on himself. He saw the flows of energy from inside, how the force moved, where it concentrated. If he directed the concentration to the surface, to the skin, it created a layer. Theory. Never tried it. Good time to try. He focused, directed the flows to the surface evenly, across the entire body. He felt warmth, from inside outward, as if the body was generating heat stronger than the aura outside. Counterfire. He rushed into the aura. There was burning, strong, but not as it should have been at 10 meters of fire aura from an S-rank boss. It works. He reached the left arm. The Asura attacked downward, all 4 arms. Intention reading. Suppression. Destroy the threat in the close zone. So-woon dodged. He did not run away. He dove under the arms toward the joint. It was open right now when lowering the arms. 2 strikes. Fast. 6,240/6,480. Asura Guardian 18% HP. He jumped out. Ran through the aura to the outside. Received damage. 640. Everyone strike from a distance, So Woon said. Magic, arrows, maximum damage. Now. The team opened fire. Hira with her sword chose a teleportation skill. Jump, strike, jump back. Changil arrows one after another from the ledge. The Asura sank. Slowly, with that sound that comes from a very large creature when its strength leaves. Asura Guardian. Level 80 destroyed, received experience. Distributed among the team. Park So Woon received experience. 18,400, level. 61 to 64, the hall fell silent. The fire of the aura faded slowly, like a bonfire that was not given wood. The team stood in silence. Then Tae-seon exhaled loudly. Level 80, he said. We killed a level 80. Together, So Woon said. You entered the third phase aura. Tae-seon looked at him. Alone, it was necessary. How did you not burn? I used my own life force as a shield, So Woon said. Risky. I do not recommend it without preparation. And you succeeded the first time. The first time, So Woon agreed. Lucky that the calculation turned out correct. Hira looked at him with that expression So Woon had seen on experienced hunters when they saw something truly new. You are not a minus, she said. By rating, A minus. No, she shook her head. The rating lags. Pause. You are higher. So Woon did not answer. From the center of the hall, an item fell. So Woon approached. Book of Asura. Volume 1, Rank. SE. Content. Technique for controlling inner force. 4 streams. Upon study, unlocks the skill of concentrating life energy in attack. Note. 1 of 4 volumes. The full technique requires all 4. 1 of 4. So Woon held the book. Looked at it. 4 volumes. The other 3 in other dungeons. Maybe in other towers similar to this one. The system had given not just an item, it had given a direction. He put it in his inventory. We exit, he said. They exited for a long time, 9 floors down through the stabilized geometry. At the exit, Yoo-jun walked next to So Woon. The map of the final hall, Yoo-jun said. I recorded the geometry changes during the 3rd phase. The aura changed the air temperature. It affected the spatial structure. I feel it. Interesting, So Woon said. That means a cartographer can predict aura changes through spatial fluctuations before they are visually noticeable. How much earlier? Today, about 4 seconds. I didn't manage to report because I didn't know it was important. Pause. Next time I will say. So Woon looked at him. Next time, he repeated. If we go together, Yoo-jun directly, without uncertainty. 4 seconds is useful when there is a person nearby who knows what to do with them. Useful? So Woon agreed. They came out onto the street. It was snowing. First snow of the season, light, with that quiet look of snowfalls that are not in a hurry. The team went their separate ways. Tae-seon clapped So Woon on the shoulder in farewell, silently. Hye-ra nodded, with that respect that does not need words. Do-yeon shook his hand briefly. Yoo-jun stayed for a moment. So Woon, you said you would tell me when you are looking for a permanent team, I said. I will wait. I know. Yoo-jun left. So Woon stood at the dungeon entrance, alone. Snow settled on his shoulders. He thought, Book of Asura, 1st volume. 3 left. Level 64. Rank A-. A class that no one understands until they see it in action. No team yet, not yet. But Yoo-jun, Hira, maybe Tae-seon, Cho and Baek, students of Ryuk from that other story. So Woon stopped the thought. Not that story. A different person, a different place. This story is his own. He took the book out of his inventory, opened the first page. The text was complex, technical. It described flows of life force in terms that the system did not translate. Original language, old. Analysis on the text. Book of Asura. Volume 1. Content. Technique. 4 streams. Control of life energy through 4 channels of the body. First stream. Protection skin, surface layer. Second stream, speed muscles and nervous system. Third stream, perception sensory systems. Fourth stream. Strike concentration at the point of contact. Volume 1 covers first stream. Study period with active practice, 3 to 6 weeks. First stream. Protection. What So Woon had used intuitively in the final battle. That means it had been correct, just incomplete. He closed the book, put it away. He raised his gaze. Snow was still falling. Seoul in snow was a different city. Quieter. Softer. With that look that happens when the world is covered in white and everything old hides under it. So Woon walked, not fast, not slow, at his own pace, 3 volumes ahead. A level that Hira saw and that the rating still did not show. A team that had not yet gathered. And a system that was changing slowly, reluctantly, but changing. Enough. For now, enough.